Tom was a human mechanic, worked alone on a small space outpost called Station 14, far from Earth. The outpost floated near a dying star. It was quiet, empty, and lonely. His job was to fix passing cargo ships, check old satellites, and send reports to command once a week. Tom didn't mind the silence. He liked machines more than people. They didn't lie. They didn't hurt you. They just broke down, and he fixed them. One day, while checking a scanner panel, Tom saw something strange. A red light flashed. An unknown object was coming fast toward the outpost. He put on his helmet and walked to the viewing deck. He looked out into space. There it was, a small escape pod, spinning slowly, covered in burn marks and ice. It looked old and broken. He pressed a button to scan it. Life detected. Tom's heart raced. Someone was inside. The pod was not human. It had alien markings, strange glowing lines like vines. He had seen pictures of this style before. It belonged to the Valari Empire, a powerful alien group that didn't like humans much. Great, he muttered. Now I'll get in trouble. But he couldn't leave someone to die. Tom guided the pod using the docking arms. The metal groaned and sparked as he pulled it in. The door wouldn't open. He used a laser cutter to break the lock as the door fell open. Smoke came out. Tom stepped back, coughing. Inside the pod was a young alien girl. She had purple skin, white eyes, and silver hair. Her body was covered in cuts and bruises. Her clothes were torn, but the symbol on her chest was clear, a glowing royal crest, a Valari. Princess, Tom whispered. The girl's lips moved. Her voice was weak. Help. Me. Tom lifted her carefully. Her legs didn't move. She was cold, shaking. He carried her to the med bay and placed her on the table. The scanner beeped. Her bones were cracked. Her spine was injured. She's paralyzed, he said. He cleaned her wounds, gave her pain medicine, and used his tools to patch the worst damage. He had no training for aliens, but he worked. Slow and careful. Hours passed. When she opened her eyes again, she looked around with fear. She tried to move but couldn't. Where am I? She asked. You're safe, Tom said. I'm Station 14. I found your pod. Tom? She blinked. Why? Did you save me? You were alive, he replied. That was enough. The girl didn't speak after that. She turned her face away. Tom gave her food and water, but she only took small sips. He didn't ask questions. He knew she needed time. Over the next few days, Tom fixed her a small room, built a support frame for her back, using scrap metal and soft cushions. He called it the walker chair. It helped her sit up. She watched him work with curious eyes. Slowly, she started to talk. My name is Vera, she said one evening. I was, heir to the Valari throne. Tom nodded. Still alive? That matters more than the throne. She looked down. Not to my people. Vera told him what happened. Her ship was attacked by rebels. The guards panicked. She was locked in the escape pod and launched into space. The rebels thought she was dead. Tom listened without judging. My legs don't work, Vera said one day, so now I'm useless. Tom shook his head. No one is useless. Each day he helped her train. He placed objects on the table and she tried to move her fingers, then her arms, then her upper body. He built small tools she could use, soft grips, sliding handles, and a voice-controlled screen. Vera started to laugh sometimes. She asked about Earth. Tom told her about rain, birds, pizza, and sunsets. She didn't know what pizza was, but she liked the sound of sunsets in return. Vera told him about her home crystal towers, floating gardens, and singing wind trees. The silence between them became warm. One night, as they looked at the dying star from the deck, Vera said, You're kind, Tom. More kind than anyone. I knew back home, Tom shrugged. I just did what anyone would do. No, she replied. Most would have left me. You didn't. A week later, the station's scanner beeped again. Valari patrol ship, Tom said. Vieira froze. They must have found my signal. Tom looked at her. Do you want to go back? She didn't answer. Her eyes filled with fear. If they find you here, Tom said, they'll take you. And I'll get in trouble. She whispered then. Hide me. Tom hesitated. Helping a lost alien was one thing. Hiding a royal from her own people? That was dangerous. But he looked at her, really looked. She wasn't a princess anymore. She was a scared girl who had suffered and survived. I'll hide you, he said. Go to the maintenance room. Stay quiet. She nodded. Tom walked to the docking bay as the Valari ship landed. 3 guards stepped out, tall and armed. Their captain had sharp eyes and a hard voice. We tracked a distress signal, he said. Any survivors here? Tom stood firm. It's just me. No visitors in weeks. The guards searched the station. They came close to the room where Vera hid. One even placed his hand on the door, but a loud alarm distracted them, a trick Tom had set with a broken drone. After an hour, the Valari ship left. The guards found nothing. Tom opened the hidden room. Vera was sitting in the shadows, silent. They're gone, he said. She looked at him with wide eyes. You really hid me, she said. I said I would, she smiled, the first real smile. He'd seen on her face at that moment something changed, not just between them, but inside them. A bond was forming, something stronger than fear or duty. After the Valari patrol ship left, the station felt quiet again. But it was no longer the same. Tom continued his usual work checking power systems, fixing old wires, cleaning dust from machines. But now, there was something new in his life. Someone new. Ver. The alien princess who once stayed silent and stiff now sat beside him every day. She watched him repair engines. She asked questions, curious like a child. And slowly the cold look in her eyes started to fade. Her voice became softer. Smile appeared more often. Tom didn't treat her like a princess. He didn't bow. He didn't ask for anything. He just showed her how things worked. This tool is called a plasma wrench, he said one morning, holding a glowing handle. It helps open broken valves. Vera looked closely. This fixes fuel lines? Yes, Tom nodded. Even broken ones like ours. She reached out, using her hand brace. Her fingers still trembled, but she was getting better. She tried to hold the wrench, but it slipped. Tom caught it and smiled. Almost got it. She looked down at her hands. They used to be strong. I trained with blades and shields. Now, I can't even lift this tool. You're stronger than you think, Tom said. Most people wouldn't survive what you did. She looked at him. Would you? Tom paused. I don't know, but I know you did. Every day Tom helped her train, not with swords, but with simple exercises. Lifting small objects, typing on screens. Moving short distances using the walker chair he built, he added stronger support legs to it. Vera started walking just 3 or 4 steps at first, then more. Her hands grabbed the handles tightly, sweat on her face. But she didn't give. Up, Tom cheered every small win. You're doing great, he said. She laughed. You sound like a healer. No, Tom replied. Just a mechanic who hates giving up. Evenings were peaceful. 2 sat near the viewing window, watching. Stars blinked slowly in the black sky. Do you miss Earth? Vera asked. Tom thought for a moment. Sometimes. The sky was blue there. I liked rivers and trees and coffee. Coffee. She raised an eyebrow. A drink, bitter but warm. Wakes you up. Vera smiled. We drink sky brew, made from blue. Tree sap. Smells sweet. Tastes like fire. Tom laughed. That sounds dangerous. It is, she said proudly. We drink it on celebration days. She paused. I used to hate those days. Always rules. Smiles. Lies. Tom looked at her. And now, she sighed. Now I miss them. Days passed. Then weeks. Vera no longer looked weak. Her skin had color again. Her arms moved with more strength. Her eyes shone like light through water. She helped Tom now passing tools, writing logs, even fixing wires with slow hands. You're becoming an engineer, he joked one day. I'm still a princess, she replied. But maybe I can be. Both, Tom nodded. Maybe you can. One afternoon, while repairing a power cell together, Vera asked quietly, "Why did you stay here alone?" Tom didn't answer right away. He placed the tool down and wiped his hands. "After the last war, I didn't want to be around people," he said. Vir awaited. "I lost someone. My brother, a pilot. His ship was hit during a mission. They said it was an accident, but I think they just didn't care." Vera's face softened. "I lost someone too, my younger sister. She was taken by rebels. We never found her." Oh. Silence hung between them. Vera placed her hand on Tom's. "Maybe we both needed to be here. To remember and to heal." Tom didn't pull his hand away. That night the scanner beeped again. Not a ship, just a signal. Small message coming from deep space. Tom checked the screen. It's old Valari beacon. Vera leaned closer. "That's my family's code, the Royal Crest." Someone is sending a message. The message was broken, but one line was clear. "Crisis. Empire in danger. Return if alive." Vera froze. Her fingers shook. "They think I'm dead. But they're calling for me?" Tom looked at her. "What will you do?" "I don't know," she whispered. The next day, Vera sat alone in the command room. She stared at the stars, her walker chair beside her. Tom walked in with a small box. "I made this for you," he said. Inside was a silver bracelet, simple and smooth, made from parts of the escape pod she arrived in. Vera touched it gently. "You kept the pieces?" "Yeah," Tom nodded. "Thought you might want to remember where your strength began?" She put it on. "Fit perfectly. I don't want to leave," she said. "Not yet. You might be the only one who can help." "Your people," Tom said. She looked at him. "Will you come with me?" Tom blinked. "Me. I trust you. And I'm scared. I don't want to face them alone." Tom looked at her eyes. They were no longer full of fear, but hope. After a moment, he nodded. "Then let's go together." Later that evening, Vera stood at the deck window. She had dressed in cleaner clothes. Her crest shining again, Tom came beside her. "You look ready?" She smiled. "Thanks to you." He shook his head. "You did all the hard work." Vera turned to him. "Tom, there's something I must say." He waited. "Before I met you, I thought my life was over. My body broken, my name forgotten. But you showed me something stronger than power." "What's that?" "Kindness." Tom looked down. "I didn't do much. You saved me. That's everything." The two stood in silence, the stars stretching before them. The Valari beacon signal had changed everything. Ver, once hidden and silent, now stood tall in the command room. Her legs were still weak, but she used her walker chair with steady hands. Tom watched her as she stared at the screen, deep in. Thought she had made her choice? It was time to go home. Tom had helped her prepare. He cleaned the small escape pod she came in, repaired its thrusters, and added fresh power cells. He also adjusted the controls so she could pilot it easily, even with her limited movement. "I'll fly beside you," Tom said, "and my old scout." "Ship?" Vera turned to him. "You don't have to. This could be dangerous." Tom smiled. "I know, but I'm still going." The two ships lifted off from Station 14 and flew into the stars. Tom stayed close behind, watching her pod on his scanner. The journey took for days. They passed through silent nebulae, dark asteroid fields, and one ancient satellite filled with dust and echoes. On the fifth day, they reached Velar Prime, the capital world of the Valari Empire. The planet was beautiful. From space. Its surface glowed with purple seas and shining towers. Floating rings circled the sky. Tom had never seen anything like it. As they entered the system, a voice crackled through the coms. "Unknown vessels. Identify yourselves." Vera answered. Her voice was calm and royal. "This is Princess Vera of House Renvel. I have returned." There was silence, then a burst of noise, and the voice came again, louder and full of shock. "Princess Vera. Alive?" "I am." "Open the gates." They were escorted by 4 golden ships to the capital dock. Vera's ship landed first. Tom followed close behind. When the pod opened, a large group of Valari nobles and guards rushed forward. Some gasped, fell to their knees. Some simply stared. The last time they saw her, she was weak and broken. Now she stood tall, holding her walker chair with grace. Tom stepped out of his scout ship. He felt many eyes on him, alien faces. Some looked curious. Some looked cold. Vera raised her hand. "This human," she said, "is the one who saved me." Whispers filled the air. "A human. He helped the princess." Vera looked at Tom and smiled. "He is my friend. I owe him everything." Inside the palace, the Empress herself waited. She was tall and thin, dressed in layers of gold and blue. Her eyes were sharp like stars. She looked at Vera without moving. "My daughter, you are alive." Vera bowed. "I am, Mother." The Empress stepped forward and placed her hand on Vera's shoulder. "You've changed." Vera nodded. "Yes." She glanced at Tom. "This is Tom of Earth. He gave me strength when I had none." The Empress did not speak to Tom. She simply nodded and turned away. That evening, Vera was taken to the royal healing chamber. Her legs were scanned again by alien machines, and the healers worked for hours. They offered her stronger treatment. She refused one part, the memory wash. "I will not forget what happened," she said. "Not the pain, and not the kindness." While she recovered, Tom was placed in a guest room. It was large and quiet, with strange lights and floating beds. Servants brought food, but no one spoke to him much. He felt out of place. On the third night, a guard came. "The council wishes to meet the human," the guard said. Tom followed him to the royal chamber. Inside were 12 Valari leaders, tall, proud, and dressed in long robes. The oldest one spoke first. "Human, why did you help our princess?" Tom looked around, then answered simply, "Because she needed help." Another leader leaned forward. "What did you want in return?" "Nothing," Tom said. "I just did what felt right." The room was silent. One of the younger council members frowned. "That is not the way of empires. We trade power for power. We protect our own." Tom nodded. "Maybe that's why your empire is in danger." The room stirred. The elder raised his hand. "Enough." Later that day, Vera returned to her chamber. Her face was calm, but her hands shook a little. "They don't trust me anymore," she said to Tom. "They think I am weak because of my legs. They think I am soft because I made a human friend." Tom sat beside her. "Do you want to leave?" "No," she whispered. "I want to change this place, but I don't know how." Tom thought for a moment. "Then show them your strength. Not by fighting, but by leading." The next morning, Vera walked into the council chamber alone without guards. Walker chair made a soft hum as it rolled beside her. She looked at the leaders and spoke with a clear voice. "You think I'm broken, but I survived what none of you could. I faced death. I lost my legs. I lost my pride. But I found something stronger than pride, hope." She turned to look at Tom standing in the back. "This human, Tom, showed me that courage doesn't come from power. It comes from the heart. And I believe we need hearts like his now because the galaxy is changing and we are not ready." The council listened in silence. Then, for the first time in many years, the elder stood. "I believe the princess has returned, not as a child, but as a leader." That evening, Vera and Tom walked in the palace garden. The air was warm. The sky had 2 moons. Vera looked up. "They accepted me. Not fully, but it's a start." Tom smiled. "You spoke from the heart. That's rare in royal halls." She looked at him. "Thank you, Tom." "For what?" "For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Tom looked at her. "Always." Far across the galaxy, something dark moved. A machine signal pulsed through empty space. Planets flickered and died. Old warnings were ignored. A new threat was coming, and only one princess knew who to call. 2 weeks passed since Princess Vera returned to Velar Prime. She had faced the royal council, spoken with strength, and started earning back her place. Still, many nobles whispered behind closed doors. Some still believed she was too weak to lead, but Vera didn't care about their doubts anymore. She had changed. and she was not alone. Tom stayed at the palace, though he was treated more like a guest than a friend. Many Volari nobles avoided him, unsure how to speak with a human, but Tom didn't mind. He spent his time fixing old palace machines and watching stars from the towers. One evening, while he adjusted a broken wind fan near the sky garden, he heard the soft sound of a walker chair behind him. "You still working?" Vera asked with a smile. Tom turned. "These old fans hum too much. Thought I'd fix them." Vera sat beside him. The sky above was full of stars, and one of the twin moons was rising. "I miss this place," she said. "Feel like home anymore." Tom looked at her. "Why?" "I don't belong here the way I used to," she said. "I was a princess who followed orders. Now I speak my mind. That scares them." Tom chuckled. "Good. Sometimes the truth should scare people." Vera was quiet for a moment. Then she turned to him. "There's something I need to ask you." "What is it?" he said. "I want you to come with me," she said. "I'm going on a mission. Something important. And I trust no one more than you." That night, inside her private chamber, Vera showed Tom a secret message. It was a warning sent from a hidden Volari station at the edge of the Empire. Unknown force destroying systems. Entire colonies lost. Machines moving like shadows. We cannot stop them. Tom, read the message twice. This is serious. Yes, Vera nodded. The council ignores it. They think it's a ghost story. Tom frowned. It's not. I've seen this kind of thing before. Dead zones, empty stations, power signals wiped clean. Something's out there. Vera leaned forward. Then we go together. We find the truth. The next morning, Vera called her private guard, a small team still loyal to her. She ordered them to prepare a fast ship. She didn't tell the council. Not yet. Within hours, the ship was ready. Sleek, silver, and fast, made for scouting missions. Tom stepped into the co-pilot seat. Vera sat beside him. Her walker chair folded behind the seat, her brace straps tightened over her hands. "You ready?" he asked. Vera smiled. "Always." The ship took off, flying high into the stars. Behind them, Velar Prime faded into a small dot. Ahead, the unknown. Waited, they traveled across 3 star systems. At first, everything seemed normal. Peaceful planets, silent stations, quiet trade routes. But by the 4th system, things changed. They reached Karna 6, a colony world that had once been full of life. Now it was silent. No lights, no signals. Just a dead planet. Tom landed the ship near an old outpost. They stepped outside, both wearing protective suits. The buildings were untouched. No battle signs, no broken walls. Just silence. Walk through the outpost. Every room was empty. Machines were shut down. Screens were black. Even the food storage was full. "It's like they just vanished," Tom said. Vera nodded. No signs of escape. No calls for help. Nothing. "It's Tom." Checked the power core. It was drained from the inside. "What does that mean?" Vera asked. Tom looked up. "It means something was here. Something that eats energy." That night, back on the ship, Vera couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching stars drift by. Tom walked in quietly. "You okay?" he asked. She shook her head. "What if this thing keeps spreading? What if it reaches VLR Prime?" Tom sat beside her. "Then we stop it before it does." Vera looked at him. "How?" "We don't even know what it is." Tom reached into his bag and pulled out a small data cube. This was from a research station I visited years ago. It recorded something similar, a self-growing machine network. No leader. No voice. Just endless copying. Vera took the cube. "A machine swarm." Tom nodded. "Yes, and if it's growing again, we need help." They decided to visit one more place, the border station Zatnine, small Volari science base hidden in a gas cloud. When they arrived, it was under attack. Black. Spider-like machines crawled across its outer walls. Some were drilling, others were cutting cables. Blue sparks lit up the sky. We're too late, Vera said. Tom jumped into the weapons chair. Not yet. He fired energy blasts, clearing a path through the machines. Vera landed the ship near a side gate. They ran inside, weapons ready. Inside. One scientist remained, an older Valari man with shaky hands. You shouldn't be here, he said. They're learning. Every time we fight, they adapt. What are they? Vera asked. The man looked at her with wide eyes. They were built long ago to help us repair stations, but they evolved. Screw smarter. Now they build themselves. And they want power. Why haven't you told the Empire? Tom asked. The man smiled weakly. We did. They didn't listen. Tom turned to Vera. Then it's time they listened to you. Back on the ship, they left Zatnine in flames. The station was falling apart, but they had the data they needed. Once we show this to the Council, Tom said, they'll have to act. Vera's eyes narrowed. They better, because if they don't, I will. She placed her hand on the window as they flew through the stars. Do you believe in fate, Tom? She asked. He shrugged. I believe in choices. And you made the right one. Vera looked at him. Then let's make the next one together. The ship raced through the stars, leaving the burning wreckage of Zatnine behind. Vera sat in silence, staring at the screens, watching the stars blur as they sped toward Velor Prime. Tom sat beside her, his hands resting on the controls. Neither spoke. The quiet hum of the engines filled the space around them, but in their hearts the storm was raging. They had the proof, now. The machines were real, and they were coming for the heart of the Valari Empire. We need to warn them, Tom said, breaking the silence. Vera nodded. The Council has to listen this time. If they don't, we won't have much time. When they arrived at Velor Prime, they were greeted with the usual royal ceremony, but this time, Vera's arrival was different. The guards who once bowed to her now stepped aside, giving her a wide berth. The nobles who would have ignored her before now looked at her with respect. Some still whispered behind their hands, but there was a sense of change in the air. Vera walked through the palace halls with a calm resolve. Tom followed closely behind. He had grown used to the royal ways by now, though he still didn't understand the layers of politics and old customs that came with the territory. They reached the council chamber, where 12 nobles waited. The room was large, with high ceilings, golden walls, and large windows that looked out over the planet below. The elders watched as Vera entered. She did not bow. She did not wait for their approval. She simply stepped forward. I have proof, she said, holding out the data cube. Proof of what is coming. I will not wait for your permission to act. One of the nobles, an older Valari with silver hair, raised an eyebrow. Proof. You expect us to believe this? Vera stepped forward. Look at it then. The machines are not just stories. They are real. They are adapting. They are heading this way. She placed the data cube on the table, and the council watched as the screen flickered and played. Back the images from the hidden stations. One noble leaned forward. This is impossible. Such technology cannot exist. Vera's eyes narrowed. It does. And it has already taken entire colonies. It has already wiped out Zatnine. Tom stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. The machines moved faster than anything we can understand. They adapt, they learn, and they consume. If we don't act now, we will lose everything. The room was silent. The nobles exchanged glances, but none of them spoke. Vera turned to Tom. They still don't believe. Tom looked around the room. Then we make them believe. That night, as the council continued to argue in private, Vera and Tom sat in her chambers. The quiet of the room felt heavy, like something was about to break. They won't listen, Vera said, her voice quiet but steady. They never have. Tom leaned back in his chair. Then we take matters into our own hands. Looked at him, surprised. What do you mean? I mean, Tom said, we go to the places they won't. We warn the colonies, the other planets. We make sure they know what's coming. Vera's gaze softened. And you would help me? Always, Tom replied, without hesitation. She smiled, though it was small. You don't have to do this. It's dangerous. These machines are like nothing we've faced before. Tom met her gaze. I'm not afraid. The next morning, Vera and Tom gathered a small group of loyal soldiers and technicians. They would leave Viewer Prime behind, heading to the outer colonies where the threat was greatest. The council had refused to act. They couldn't wait any longer. Vera and Tom stood on the platform as the new ship was prepped. It was sleek, faster than the royal ships, and built for stealth. A perfect vessel for getting in and out of enemy territory without being detected. Vera turned to Tom. You know this will be dangerous, right? He smiled. I've faced worse. She laughed softly, the sound of it a rare warmth. Then let's go. Their journey took them first to Farnane 7, a quiet mining world on the edge of Valari space. The planet's population was small, but the miners worked with valuable resources. Tom and Vera landed on the outskirts of the main city and set up a small meeting with the local leaders. The people of Farnane 7 were skeptical at first, but after seeing the evidence on the data cube, they began to listen. They knew about strange power fluctuations in the area, and they had heard rumors of attacks on nearby planets. Tom and Vera spoke to the miners, showing them the same recordings. Many of the workers were scared, but they agreed to help. They began organizing defenses, knowing that time was running out. After Farnane 7, they visited Olivia for a larger world where the Valari Empire had many trade routes. The city was bustling with activity, and many of the workers here didn't believe the machines were a real threat. Machines, one merchant scoffed, were far too important to be targeted. We have the best security systems in the galaxy. Vera met with the governor of Olivier for a sharp-minded woman named Rayla. Rayla listened carefully, watching the data with a quiet seriousness. You're telling me that something like this could wipe us out? Rayla asked. Vera nodded. It's already happening. Rayla stood, walking to a map on the wall. I won't wait until it's too late. We'll send out warnings. The final stop was Trellisate, an industrial world known for its factories and high-tech research stations. The Valari government had ignored the early signs of danger here, but the workers had noticed strange things, missing shipments, people disappearing in the night. Trellisate was in danger, but they didn't know the full scope of the threat. Tom and Vera gathered the workers and leaders in a large hall. They played the footage from Zat-9. This is what we're dealing with, Tom said, his voice low but full of urgency. This is why we need to act now. We can't wait. For permission from the council, we need to defend ourselves. The workers didn't hesitate. They began organizing, setting up defenses and preparing to protect their world as Vera and Tom stood in the halls of Trellisate. Looking out at the workers who were ready to fight, Vera turned to him. We did it, she said, her voice filled. With relief, Tom nodded. We made them see. In the back of his mind, something didn't sit right. They had warned these planets, but the machines were still out there, and they were getting closer. The war was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The warning signs were everywhere. The machines had moved faster than anyone thought possible. In just a few weeks, they had consumed entire colonies. Number 1 was safe. Not even the Valari Empire itself. Vera and Tom had traveled across several star systems, waking up old colonies, rousing sleeping defenses, and warning everyone of the danger. Some listened, but others still refused to believe that a threat like this could exist. Back on Viewer Prime, the Royal Council was in turmoil. There were talks of peace, alliances, and old rivalries, but Vera knew none of that mattered now. Council had already failed to act. Machines were coming for them all, and no amount of politics could stop that. Vera stood at the window of her chamber, watching the stars in silence. The view was breathtaking, 100 worlds twinkling. In the distance, each one teeming with life, but none of them were safe anymore. Are you ready? Tom's voice interrupted her thoughts. Vera turned to find him standing in the doorway, holding a datapad with the latest reports. The data showed more systems falling silent one by one. The machines had taken over entire planets, erasing all traces of life. "We've gathered what we could," Tom said, stepping inside. "The fleet's ready, but we can't do this alone." "I know," Vera replied. "We need to unite the galaxy. If we don't, we'll be wiped out before we can even fight back." The next day, they gathered the remaining leaders, the ones who had listened. Some were from far-off worlds, others were leaders of the colonies Vera had saved. These were the few who understood the threat. Together, they planned a counterattack. "Every colony, every ship, every soldier counts now," Vera said. "We can't fight this like we did before. Need to hit them all at once." Tom nodded. "We need to find the source, the central hub of the machines. If we destroy that, they'll fall apart." Rayla, the governor of Olivia 4, leaned forward. "We've been tracking their movements. They have a base hidden in a nebula near the Ryler system. But the coordinates are unclear. It's well protected." Vera looked at the group. "Then we find it, and we take it down." The fleet began its journey toward the nebula, moving silently through the dark void. The ships were small, but fast, built for stealth. Vera and Tom were on the lead ship, with Rayla and the others on the follow-up ships. The journey was tense, every crew member on edge, knowing that the machines could strike at any moment. As they entered the nebula, the stars disappeared behind thick clouds of gas and dust. It was difficult to navigate. Ships had to rely on their sensors, but the nebula played tricks on them, making it hard to get a clear reading. Tom worked the controls, his eyes focused on the readouts. "We're close. The signal's getting stronger." Vera stood beside him, her hand on the ship's console. She looked out the window, watching the swirling colors of the nebula. "It's strange," she said. "Feels like we're being watched." Suddenly, the ship's alarms went off, and the crew scrambled to their stations. The machines had found them. Out of the darkness, hundreds of spider-like machines appeared, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. They surrounded the fleet, cutting off their escape routes. "We have to fight," shouted Rayla over the comms. "We won't survive if we don't fight." Vera stood up, her eyes hard with determination. "We're not running. We'll make our stand here." Tom took a deep breath and activated the ship's weapons. "All ships, prepare to engage. Fight with everything you have." The battle was fierce. The ships fired their weapons at the machines, which responded with deadly precision. The air was filled with flashes of energy, explosions, and the shrill sound of metal scraping against metal. But for every machine they destroyed, two more appeared. Tom watched the battle unfold. "Relentless," he said, his voice grim. "We won't stop," Vera replied, her voice full of resolve. "Can't." As the battle raged on, Vera knew there was only one way to win. They had to reach the heart of the machine's network. She and Tom had discussed the plan before, and now it was time to put it into action. "We have to get to their central command," Vera said. "I'll lead a team to the surface. Tom, you and Rayla stay here and defend the fleet." Tom looked at her, concern flashing in his eyes. "Vera, it's too dangerous. We don't know what's down there." Vera gave him a steady look. "I know. We don't have a choice. If we don't take down their control center, we'll lose everything." Vera's team descended to the surface of the machine base, a desolate planet surrounded by a thick atmosphere of poison gas. They landed near the main entrance, where giant metallic doors loomed above them, guarded by swarms of machines. The team moved quickly, using every trick they had learned to avoid detection. They fought their way through the maze of tunnels, battling machine after machine. Each step brought them closer to the control center as they entered the main chamber. Vera could see the heart of the machine network, a massive, glowing core that pulsed with energy. "We're here," she whispered. "Now let's end this." Back on the ship, Tom and Rayla fought to keep the enemy forces at bay. The fleet was damaged, but they were holding their ground. Tom's hands gripped the controls as he fired another round of blasts into the enemy machines. "We can't keep this up forever," Rayla said, looking at the damage reports. "We need more time." Tom didn't respond. He was too focused on the battle, on the hope that Vera and her team would succeed. Inside the machine base, Vera and her team planted explosives around the central core. Machines began to close. in on them, but Vera was determined. She pressed the final button, setting the timer on the explosives. The ground shook as the core exploded, sending a shockwave through the base. Machines fell apart, their glowing lights flickering out one by one. Vera and her team ran for cover, narrowly avoiding the collapsing walls. They made it back to their ship just in time to see the entire base disintegrate. The battle was over. The machines had been destroyed. Vera and Tom stood together, watching the wreckage of the machine fleet disappear into the stars. "We did it," Vera said softly. Tom looked at her, a small smile forming on his face. "We did. The galaxy was safe for now." Silence fell across the stars. After the machine base exploded, their signal vanished from the galaxy. No more dark ships appeared. No more colonies disappeared. For the first time in months, there was peace. Vera's team returned to the fleet. The soldiers cheered when she stepped out of the dropship. Her walker chair was covered in dirt and soot, but she held her head high. Her eyes shone with calm pride. Tom stood nearby, his face tired but full of relief. When he saw her, he smiled wide. "You made it," he said. "We all did," she replied softly. They stood there a moment, just two people in the middle of a large crowd. But to each other, they were more than that. They had fought together, survived together, and changed the course of history together. The fleet returned to Velor Prime a few days later. The council stood waiting on the landing deck. This time, there were no doubtful whispers, no cold glances. The nobles bowed deeply as Vera stepped out, followed by her crew. The Empress, her mother, stepped forward. She looked at her daughter with a strange expression, part pride, part sorrow. "You've changed," the Empress said. Vera nodded. "Yes, I had to." "You disobeyed the council," the Empress said. "You left without their blessing." "I did," Vera said, "because they waited while people died. I couldn't wait." The Empress looked around at the people cheering behind them. "And now they call you their savior." "I'm not a savior," Vera said. "I'm just someone who didn't give up." Her eyes moved to Tom, standing quietly behind her. "And I didn't do it alone." That evening, Vera was invited to speak before the entire council. The chamber was full, not just nobles, but people from across the empire. Citizens, soldiers, workers, and scientists. They had heard her story. They wanted to hear her speak. Vera walked to the center of the great hall, her walker chair humming softly under her steps. She looked across the room not as a broken princess, but as someone who had faced the darkness and survived. She raised her voice. "Many of you once saw me as weak," she said. "As a girl who lost her strength, you called me broken, useless, forgotten. The hall was quiet, but I am still here," she continued. "And I chose to stand. I chose to fight. Not with power or fear, but with hope." She looked around. Hope does not come from perfect leaders. Hope comes from ordinary people who refuse to give up. People like Tom, she pointed toward him, a human who asked for nothing but gave everything. People turned to look at Tom, who shifted in his seat, a little embarrassed. Vera smiled. "He taught me something the Empire forgot. Courage is not about being strong. It's about doing what's right, even when you're afraid." The hall filled with quiet nods. Even the council elders seemed thoughtful. Later that night, Vera and Tom stood alone in the palace gardens. The sky above was full of stars, and the warm breeze carried the scent of glowing flowers. Tom looked up. "So, what happens now?" Vera smiled. "Now, I rebuild the Empire." He asked. She shook her head. "The people, their trust, their hearts, and me," Tom said, half joking. Vera laughed. I need you." He raised an eyebrow. "Still, you're a princess." "A leader now." She stepped closer. "Yes, but before I was any of those things, I was a survivor, and I survived because of you." Tom's voice turned quiet. "You saved me too, you know?" She looked at him, surprised. "How?" "You reminded me what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself," he said. "I was lost before. I lived in silence. You gave me a reason to care again." For a moment, neither of them said anything. The stars above shimmered softly, like the universe itself was listening. In the weeks that followed, change swept across Velor Prime and the outer colonies. The Council passed new laws that gave every world a voice. Vera led rebuilding missions. Tom trained engineers and pilots to defend without fear. Vera refused the throne, choosing instead to become a peace leader, someone who served, not ruled. People began calling her the Starwalker Princess. Children told stories of how she returned from the dead, healed worlds, and fought alongside a human from Earth. Tom became a legend of his own. To some, he was the human who saved the Empire. But to Vera, he was simply Tump the friend who never left her side. One day, a small girl from a distant colony asked Vera, "Is it true that a human saved you?" Vera bent down, smiled, and said, "No, we saved each other." Months passed, then years. The galaxy healed slowly. The machines never returned. But their memory remained as a warning. Never ignore the quiet voices. Never wait until it's too late. And never forget that even the smallest person can make the biggest change. Tom and Vera remained close. Whether they stayed on Velor Prime or traveled to other colonies, they were always side by side to hearts from different worlds, bonded by something deeper than title, blood, or power. Not long after, a statue was placed in the heart of the capital. It showed Vera and Tom standing back to back, looking to the stars, one with a tool in hand, the other with a walker at her side. Beneath the statue was a simple message carved in silver. Hope was born the day a human reached out his hand and said, "You are not alone." The end.